Hello again, folks. This is Barry with Barry's 8-Track and Classic Car Radio Repair, and today's focus is going to be on the 1970 Chrysler AM/8-track thumb wheel units that are found in Chargers, Challengers, and probably quite a few other cars that I don't know about. And for the moment, we're just going to go back and show you what actual unit we're talking about. This is the 1970 Chrysler AM/8-track unit. This is the 8-track door, of course. It's an AM radio. That's the unit that we're talking about, and but the actual focus is going to be on the 8-track section itself, because on the 1970 Chrysler units, it's a little bit more involved, requires a lot more work. And so first we're going to just pop a tape in here. I've completed the work on the 8-track section. I've installed a new motor. There's a new speed control board that you probably can't really see. There's a new speed control board. I've replaced all the preamp, or all the caps in the preamp section to keep that nice and healthy. I've fabricated a new plunger and receptacle to replace the broken receptacle and missing plunger of the original unit. So first we're going to go ahead and play this thing real quick just to make sure everything's working, and then I'm going to take this thing apart and show you all this cool stuff I've done to it. Let's pop a tape in here. Just a quick rundown. Another testament to the fact that this is a more involved 8-track deck than most other units. As you slide the tape in, you can see back here there's a plate that the tape pushes close to the solenoid, which is actually what holds the tape in place. Okay, we should have some music now. And the way this plunger works on these Chryslers is you push the plunger to change tracks. Okay, so we're on the next track. Now we're going to make the final adjustments with the unit inside the chassis. So at the moment I'm not overly concerned about sound quality or balance, because that's all going to be adjusted anyway as the final step. Just change tracks a few more times. Okay, and now we're going to pull on this plunger, and that will release the tape. And there's a tape released. Okay, so we can pull our tape out. Okay, now we're going to disconnect this thing, and we're going to run over a few things that I do to these 1970 units to make sure that they're going to be reliable. Naturally, we replace all the electrolytic capacitors in the preamp section, and we're also going to take an overhead view of this thing. Okay, here's the unit, of course. All the capacitors in the preamp section have been replaced. The moving parts, your track change mechanism is right in here, and there's a bunch of goings on there. The lubricant gets gummed up very badly over the years on this model, and this thing simply will not budge in a lot of cases. So I give this a very thorough servicing as well. There's our new motor, and there's my new hand-built speed control board. But now the special emphasis is going to be on the track change plunger. So we're going to go to our overhead camera, if I can figure out how to get that thing going on here. Okay, where'd you go? There's our overhead camera. Alrighty. Now here is the original. This is the new track change plunger. Here is the original. And we can see some design problems right off the bat here. This is the original receptacle for the original plunger, and there's the plunger, there's the receptacle, of course. And as you can see, this receptacle is broken. The reason that it's broken is because it's made of aluminum, but it's also designed to spread a little bit. As you can see, there's some cutouts here that allow this collet to spread as you put your plunger in there. Well, if you know anything about metal, aluminum has no spring action or resiliency whatsoever. Once aluminum spreads, it's going to stay spread, and there's nothing you can do except get in there with pliers and draw it back together. So what I do is I take this old junk out of there, because it's broken anyway, and I replace it with the same basic type of deal. It's aluminum spacer with a 632 thread, but it cannot spread, so it's never going to loosen. It's not going to let go of your plunger. And since this is an unusual thread pitch, most of your Chrysler 8-track units were made by companies that also manufactured avionics, such as Bendix King, Motorola, Philips. So as a result, this is a special avionics thread that's not available commercially. So if you either lose your plunger or somehow break the receptacle, the only alternative is to go back and change out the receptacle and see what we can do by getting a new plunger in there. This happens to be just a simple socket head cap screw with a 632 thread, and it screws nicely into that plunger, and the end of it is easy to grab, and it looks pretty similar to the original. That's the closest I've gotten so far to finding the original stuff, except the occasional eBay seller who wants $20 for this little piece of hardware. So anyway, that is what I do to a lot of these plunger assemblies to make them reliable again, and to replace a lost plunger, is we just go ahead and go back and just replace all that stuff with brand new stuff, and it's going to be reliable. It's going to last a long time. You're going to have no problem at all getting that new plunger to thread in place. So there's the basic rundown on the 1970 Chrysler AM 8-track unit, and as far as I know, this unit was only put out in 1970. It went into Chargers and Challengers, a few other cars, and this one's a little bit more involved than a lot of the other Chryslers, and especially more involved than a lot of other 8-track units in general. So let's go ahead and get my face back on here so we can bid a fond farewell. This is Barry with Barry's 8-track and classic car radio repair. If you have an 8-track in need of service, you can reach me directly at 928-533-9666, or you can visit my website, barrys8trackrepair.com. That's BARRYS number 8 trackrepair.com. And another one of my websites that's easier to remember is simply classiccarradiorepair.com. Thank you very much for watching and listening. We'll see you next time.